Hello everyone, this is part 32 of What If Naruto Came Back to Claim His Family's Name, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto and Kushina walked all day until they reached a cliff that dropped down onto a sandy beach. So Dad, how do we get down there? Asked Kushina. Well, there are two ways, said Naruto. One is the long way, which we will waste a day and a half going down, or we just use these. With that, Naruto pulled out a scroll and unsealed two long ropes. Go tie these to those rocks. Okay, Dad, said Kushina as she took the rope to the rocks as she tied. Naruto tossed the ropes over the edge after checking to make sure they were tight. All right, let's go. Make sure you keep your feet on the rocks while we walk down, said Naruto as he and his daughter started down the face of the cliff. A few minutes later, they were at the bottom of the cliff. All right, then put your things in that cave over there and do some warm-ups. All right, Dad, what are we doing first? Asked Kushina. You're going to fight me, said Naruto as Kushina's eyes widened. Meanwhile, Sai looked out the window of the ship, seeing something new for the first time in 16 years. We should just throw you overboard, said the guard who was leaning against the wall staring at Sai. You could, but I don't believe your cage would be pleased with you, said Sai as he looked out and saw some land appear on the horizon. Kushina placed her things in a small cave before walking out to meet her dad, only to find that he had taken off his jacket and shoes. What are you doing, Dad? Asked Kushina as Naruto jumped out and stood on top of one of the dozens of small rocks that stuck out of the sea. We are going to fight and the only rules are no touching the water, not even walking on it, or the sand, said Naruto as Kushina took her shoes off and jumped onto the rock across from her father. Okay then, Dad, I am ready when you are, said Kushina as Naruto smiled. Begin, said Naruto as Kushina disappeared in a flash of blonde light. 1, 2, 3, thought Naruto as he felt his daughter's chakra signature. I got you, Dad, thought Kushina as she sent her first flying. When she was within inches of hitting the back of Naruto's head, he sidestepped and grabbed her arm before throwing her into the water. What happened? Said Kushina as she kicked to stay afloat. Her father knelt down and looked at his daughter. I beat you with one move, said Naruto as he held his hand out and pulled his daughter out of the water. You overextended yourself and that threw your base off. You shouldn't ess your position for a winning blow. You must always have a backup plan. All right, said Kushina as she disappeared back to her starting spot on top of the far rock. Let's do this again. Meanwhile, back at the Uchiha compound, Sasuke stood in the doorway watching as his son slept. Sasuke, what are you still doing here? Asked Ino as she walked toward her husband. Normally you and Fugaku are already training by now. I am letting him take a day off, he needs it, said Sasuke. He has been asleep for over 12 hours now. Well, you two have been training from sun up to sunset for 2 weeks straight, said Ino as she closed the door. Well, after lunch I plan on taking Liz out for some training, said Sasuke as Ino slapped him on the back of the head. What? Sasuke, you need rest, too. Take the day off, ordered Ino. Ino-chan, this training with Liz isn't hard, it is mostly meditation, said Sasuke. If you want, we can train in the courtyard. I guess I can keep an eye on you two to make sure that you don't overdo it, said Ino as Sasuke smiled before kissing his wife's en. Thanks, said Sasuke. Meanwhile, back on the rocks, Kushina jumped over her dad's foot as he tried to swipe her legs from under her. Kushina did a backflip and placed her hand on a small rock before landing on a far rock. Sweat poured down Kushina's face and her breath was fast and shallow. She is definitely better than even I thought Naruto as he watched his daughter catch her breath. We have been at this for over 2 hours and I have only butted her into the water 9 times. The first time I did this with Ero Sennin, I spent more time in the water than on the stones. Kushina. Yeah, Dad, said Kushina in between deep breaths. Let's have some lunch and pick this up afterwards, said Naruto. No thank you, Dad, I want to put you into the water first, said Kushina as she suddenly disappeared in a puff of smoke. Shadow clone, thought Naruto as he instantly went on guard before kunais came flying toward him from different angles. Naruto quickly jumped to another rock only to have it exploded under him. He jumped from rock to rock until soon there was only one rock left and that one went up as well, leaving nowhere for him to go, so he landed on the water near where he was originally when suddenly Kushina appeared out of nowhere standing on top of a small rock. Looks like I got you, Dad, said Kushina as Naruto smiled. Really? Tell me how did you did it? Asked Naruto. While you thought I was resting, I placed explosive tags on all but this rock and then I placed a genjutsu on this rock to make it look like water. Then I placed a shadow clone in my spot and while I was hidden by genjutsu you jumped around until there was nowhere else to go, said Kushina with a huge smile. Very good, Kushina, said Naruto as suddenly he charged forward and elbowed his daughter hard in the face, knocking her into the water. When Kushina popped her head out of the water, anger was clear as day on her face. Dad, that is cheating. I won. You were on the water, yelled Kushina at the top of her lungs. Kushina, you did great, but I also planned ahead, said Naruto as he pointed over his shoulder to a small rock where he used to be. Crap, he had a rock hidden as well, thought Kushina. Yeah, I thought we had actually won, said Inner Kushina as Naruto held out his hand. Come on, let's head back to the beach for some lunch, said Naruto as Kushina took her dad's hand. However, the moment she grabbed it she grinned before yanking her father face first into the water. Naruto surfaced only to hear his daughter's laughter. He responded by splashing her with more water. A few minutes later, the two wet namakazes sat on the beach eating some of the food they had packed. So Dad, how did I do? Asked Kushina as she ate some more rice. You did great, however you still drop your guard a little too soon. Remember what Chu did, you can't let your guard down during these fights until they are over, said Naruto. So what are we going to do next? Asked Kushina. Well, first we are going to find out what type of chakra you have, said Naruto as Kushina raised an eyebrow. See, every person's chakra is better at turning into a different element. Uncle Sasuke's chakra is fire-based, mine is wind. So how do I find out? Asked Kushina as Naruto pulled out a piece of small paper and put it into Kushina's hand. Now what? Just channel your chakra into it, said Naruto as he watched to see what happens. Suddenly, the paper S into. What does it mean, Dad? Asked Kushina as Naruto smiled. You have wind-based chakra like mine. That means you are able to work better with wind-based justice than other elements, said Naruto. Dad, how come I never did this sooner? Asked Kushina. Because most of the time, senseis wait until their students are preparing for the Junin exams to find out what type of chakra their students have, said Naruto as he drank some water. Why? Because part of the Junin exams is being able to master A-ranked jutsu in 2 elements, and if they know what element a person is, they know what type of justice work best for their students, said Naruto. Wait, you said 2? I thought I was wind-based, said Kushina as Naruto reached for a small stick and drew a circle in the sand. Then he wrote the words fire on the top and water on the bottom. At the 2 sides he wrote wind and earth. Think about it this way, said Naruto. Fire and water are opposites, so if someone is a fire type they would have trouble doing water-based justice. So since I have wind-type chakra I would have trouble with earth-based justice, said Kushina. Yeah, you can still do them, it just takes you more chakra to do it, said Naruto. However, I think we should focus on wind and maybe some water-based jutsu. Why water? Why not fire? Asked Kushina as Naruto looked toward the water. Because it is easier to learn water-based justice when you don't have to create water out of the air, and Mai will be able to do any fire justice you may need, said Naruto as he finished his lunch. Let's start with a simple yet effective air jutsu called Air Bullet. Later that night, Naruto sat by the fire just outside the cave watching as his daughter slept. I am so lucky to have such a wonderful family, thought Naruto as he looked out toward the dark ocean. However, he wasn't the only one looking out over the ocean. On a small ship just off the coast, 2 men brought a 3rd man to the edge of the ship. Are you ready to go home? Asked one of the ice ninjas as he looked at Sai right in the eyes. Are you ready to face the outside world because they know about you now and they will find you? Asked Sai as the ninja grabbed Sai around his neck. If they find us, we will destroy them. We are stronger than every nation on the face of this earth, growled the ice ninja. One nation cannot fight the world and win, said Sai. Just watch us, said the ice ninja as he tossed Sai overboard into the cold water. The next morning, Kushina woke up and started to do her morning warm-ups when she noticed something moving. Dad, there is someone in the water, yelled Kushina as Naruto walked onto the beach just in time to see a black-haired man climb out of the water onto the beach. Naruto's eyes widened. Sai, Sai, asked Naruto as the man looked up at him. Naruto, is that you? Asked Sai as Naruto nodded his head. I can't believe that after 16 years the first person I see is you, said Sai as he fell into the sand. Sai, how can you be alive? You fell off the cliff when we brought Sasuke home, asked Naruto. Yeah, I fell, said Sai, however that ugly red-haired bee Karen and I caught onto a piece of wood. And with those currents you could have ended up anywhere, said Naruto as Sai nodded his head. We ended up in the ice village, said Sai as Naruto's and Kushina's eyes widened. You spent 16 years in an ice prison? Asked Naruto. Yeah, said Sai. Did you see anything while you were there? Asked Naruto. Nothing useful, Lord Hokage Naruto Namikaze, said Sai as Naruto looked at him. How did you know those things? Asked Naruto. A few days ago, Karen came in and showed me pictures to confirm who you were, said Sai before he looked at Kushina. They even had a photo of you, Kushina. Wait, you said Karen showed you pictures, wasn't she locked up with you? Asked Naruto. For a bit, but then she seduced the cage and gave him a son, Reiji I believe, said Sai as Naruto's eyes widened. Reiji is Karen's son? Asked Naruto as Sai nodded. I see you know him. Sai, do you know anything else about their plans? Asked Naruto. No, I spent most of my days looking out of the same window at the ice, said Sai. However, 2 months ago they did start acting strangely, but about what I have no idea. Sai, I don't know what to say, we all thought you were said Naruto. I don't even know how I survived to begin with, said Sai. What are you two doing on a beach in the middle of nowhere? Training for the Chunin exams, said Naruto as Sai nodded his head. Do you think I can have some water? Said Sai as Kushina disappeared and reappeared with a canteen of water. Here, thanks, said Sai. You look more like Sakura in person than the photo. Thanks, said Kushina. Kushina, go work on your jutsu, I need to talk to Sai, said Naruto as Kushina walked off. I can understand if you don't believe me, said Sai. No, I believe you, I remember your scent from back then and you still have your Anbu tattoo on your arm, said Naruto. Then why did you send your daughter away? Asked Sai. She needs to work some more on her jutsus, said Naruto, and I need to bring you back to the village. That can wait, I just spent 16 years in a frozen wasteland. Let me spend a few days on the beach, said Sai as Naruto nodded. So what did I miss? I don't know where to begin, said Naruto. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, Sakura, Ino, Hinata, Tenten, and Temari sat at a large table inside the Nara clan courtyard doing their monthly get-together. So Temari, how is Emi doing with her training? Asked Ino. Like I am going to tell you, our kids might fight each other, said Temari with a grin. All I am going to say is she is doing great. How are Kushina, Kib and Fugaku doing? I honestly can't tell you, said Hinata. Kiba is personally training him but he starts before dawn and ends late at night. Sounds like Fugaku, only when Sasuke brings him back around supper, he normally locks himself in the indoor training field and works out there until either Sasuke or I force him out. Kushina's a little different. When she trains until she can't move anymore. I swear I had to carry her to bed half the time I was training her, said Sakura. I can only imagine what she and Naruto will do on their training trip. Sasuke wanted to know when he will be back, said Ino. Early next week, then some light training for Kushina before the exams, said Sakura. I will have to force Fugaku to take a break, said Ino as she ate some more of her lunch. Yeah, Kib will need to be forced as well, said Hinata. Tenten, how is Haruaki doing? Asked Ino. He still wants to go out there and train. Luckily Neji's team is currently being trained by their parents which lets us keep an eye on him at all times, said Tenten before a sad look crossed her face. Some damage is already done though. He can't throw a kunai straight anymore. Well, his brain was separated from the rest of his body, his nerves are damaged and they will heal in time, hopefully, said Sakura. Yeah, I know that, but he wants to be out there now, said Tenten. Well, I take a look at him at after lunch, said Sakura. After all, with Naruto and Kushina gone, that is less food I have to cook. Well, at least your husband can cook, said Ino. Last time Sasuke cooked, I spent the rest of the night throwing up. As she finished, all of them started laughing when suddenly, a small red fox appeared with a scroll in his mouth and walked up to Sakura and dropped the scroll. Lady Sakura, said the fox, I carry a message from Lord Naruto. Thank you, said Sakura as she picked up the scroll. As she read the first line of the letter, her eyes widened. A few days later, Sai was still sitting in the cave watching as Naruto and Kushina had one last fight on the beach before going home. Naruto dodged 3 kunais being pushed by an air-based jutsu. Suddenly, 3 Kushina clones shot out of the sand which grabbed onto Naruto before exploding. Naruto was sent flying back as the real Kushina stood in front of him. Looks like I won, Dad, said Kushina. However, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. Shadow clone. Suddenly, Naruto popped out of the sand hitting Kushina in the jaw, just like he did to Neji all those years ago. Kushina landed on the ground looking up at her father and seeing for the first time that he was breathing heavily. Kushina, you did great, said Naruto as he pulled his daughter up and then suddenly he felt a kunai on his en. I got you this time, Dad, said Kushina as Naruto shook his head. I should listen to my own advice sometimes, said Naruto as Kushina pulled away before jumping up and down in victory. Yes, I won, yelled Kushina as Sai walked up. You knew she was coming, didn't you? Asked Sai. Yeah, but let her celebrate, said Naruto as he walked up and started packing to head home. The next day, Naruto, Kushina and Sai were approaching the village when suddenly 3 Anbu appeared. Welcome home, Lord Hokage, said their leader. Shikamaru, you can take off your mask, that includes you too as well, said Naruto as Shikamaru pulled off his mask followed by Shino and Tenten. I wouldn't believe it until I saw it. Sai, you're alive, said Tenten. Last I checked. Ugly, said Sai. Alright, let's get you to a hospital to get checked out, said Shikamaru. Alright then, led away, said Sai as they lead him to the gate. You don't know how long I have waited to be here. I can only imagine, said Naruto before looking at Kushina. Head on home and get some rest, you need it, remember in 3 days we head back to the sand. I may pay Fugaku and Liz a visit, is that okay? Said Kushina as Naruto rolled his eyes. Sure, said Naruto as Kushina ran off. A few minutes later, Naruto stood outside Sai's room watching as medical ninjas checked out Sai. As he stood there watching, Sakura walked up and slapped him hard on the back of his head. Ouch. What was that for? Asked Naruto as Sakura glared at him. You should have brought Sai home the day he came ashore. You have no idea what could be wrong with him. He spent 16 years in prison. He needs to be checked out by a team of medical ninjas, said Sakura. Well, Kushina. Kushina is still learning, yelled Sakura as Naruto lowered his head. Meanwhile, Sai was watching the 2 Namikazes while his blood pressure was being checked by Ino. I see some things never change, said Sai as Ino looked at Naruto and Sakura. Yeah, but they love each other. It's just Naruto can still be a barker sometimes, said Ino. I asked Naruto not to return to the leaf, said Sai. Well, after spending 16 years in a frozen wasteland, I would want to spend a few days at the beach as well, said Ino. I could care less about the beach, I wanted to regain some strength. I am still a ninja of the leaf and I shamed it by being captured, said Sai. Still, anything you gave them. I gave them nothing, said Sai. I never said you did, said Ino. Good. Now Ino, where is Sasuke? I must tell him something important, said Sai as Ino pointed outside the door to where Sasuke had joined Sakura and Naruto. Can you get him for me? Sure, said Ino as she walked outside. Sasuke, Sai wants to speak to you. With that, Team 7 walked in and stood across from Sai. It is good to have you back, Sai, said Sasuke. What do you want to tell me? You may not like what I have to tell you, said Sai. Karen is alive. Good for her, she can stay far away from me, said Sasuke. I think you'll see her soon. Her son is Reiji of the ice, said Sai as all but Naruto's eyes widened. What? Asked Sasuke. Yes, she seduced the ice cage in order to get out of prison, but she still wants you, said Sai as Ino had a look of pure hate at the thought of someone trying to take her husband away from her. We will deal with her, just rest now, Sai, said Sakura as she went up to the IV and increased the drug, making Sai fall asleep. Well, that is something unexpected. Meanwhile in the ice village, Reiji, Eiko, Karen, and the ice cage were on board a boat heading to a port village on the coast of Wind Country. Sai was still in the hospital 3 days later when all but the youngest of the Namikazes, Uchihas, Inuzuka and Nara clan along with Chu and the last elder of the Akamaiki clan left for the Sand Village. I hope this is okay, Lord Hokage, said a hotel manager. It is great, said Naruto as he looked at the floor that the sand had given for the visiting leaf ninjas. Naruto and Sakura, Sasuke and Ino, Kiba and Hinata had a room for themselves. The Uchihas and Namikaze boys also had rooms along with the Inuzuka girls. Liz and Kushina shared a room next to Fugaku and Kib. Chu and the Akamaiki clan elder stayed as far away from the Uchihas and Namikazes. Shikamaru and his family were staying with Gaara in the Kazekage mansion. Get some rest, you'll need it for tomorrow, ordered Naruto to all the genin. As Kushina lay down to sleep with her fox Mai sleeping next to her, Liz spoke up. You know, tomorrow you may fight my brother, said Liz. I know, said Kushina. Just don't give up or go easily because you have to fight him, said Liz. Trust me, I will not go easy on him, said Kushina. Good, because my brother wants to fight you and he will not hold back, yawned Liz before she started to fall asleep. In the room across the hall from him, Naruto looked at the Kyuubi as he and his mate lay on a small couch. Is Mai ready? We didn't have a lot of time to work with the both of them together, said Naruto as Kyuubi looked up at Naruto. Mai is ready, I trained her myself, said Kyuubi. Now get some sleep, Kit. The next morning came sooner than expected as Kushina got ready in her hotel room. Do you have everything you need? Asked Sakura as she watched her daughter roll up some kunais and ninja stars into a scroll. I think so, said Kushina as she looked at her mother. Well then, you better get going, you don't want to be late like your father was for his exams, said Sakura as she hugged her daughter. Good luck Kushina, and we are proud of you no matter what happens. Thanks, Mom. Come on Mai, let's get going, said Kushina as she and the brown fire fox walked out of the room toward the arena. Sakura disappeared in a flash of pink and reappeared next to Naruto who was in full Hokage robes as he sat next to Gaara in his Kazekage robes and his wife in the cage's box overlooking the arena that was sunken down into the ground. People were already finding their seats. How is Kushina doing? Asked Naruto. She is fine, said Sakura as she noticed the rest of her family along with their friends enter the arena. So Sasuke-kun, where do you want to sit? Said Ino. Somewhere in the shade, I don't want to sit in the sun all day, said Liz as the boys rushed around. How about over there Sasuke? Said Ino. When Sasuke didn't respond she looked at him only to see that his Sharingan was on and spinning. What is it? Karen, said Sasuke as he turned around to see a red-haired woman wearing a grey jacket and black pants. Well, you as good as ever Sasuke-kun, said Karen as she walked toward Sasuke. If you come one more step closer, I will L off your tea and watch you bleed to death, hissed Sasuke as Karen smiled. As much as I would enjoy watching that, I am afraid I still need her and it looks bad if a Kage just stood there as his wife said a man as he walked up wearing an all-white Kage robe. You must be the Ice Village's Kage, said Sasuke. Yes, I am, now come on, woman, said the Kage as he walked away, 2 Hyujunins with him. We will finish this later, said Karen as she followed her husband up to the seats. I so want to do what you said Ino as they all sat down and waited. Meanwhile, the Ice Cage and Karen walked up and sat down next to Gaara. Did you get my gift, Lord Hokage? Asked the Cage as he looked at Naruto. If by gift you mean one of my ninjas that you have been holding for 16 years, then yes, said Naruto. He trespassed in our land. I could have killed him, but I decided to let him go. So enjoy the time you now have with your lost friend, Naruto Namikaze, said the Cage. I see you know about me, why don't we share information? Said Naruto. Like I would give you any information, the less you know about me and my village the better, said the cage. I know more than you think, said Naruto as Kankuro appeared in the center of the sand-covered arena. With that, Gaara stood up and stepped forward so that everyone could see him. I welcome you all to Suna and to the finals of the Chunin exams. I would like to extend my welcome to the cages of the Leaf and Ice as their ninjas along with ninjas from our village fight to earn the spot of Chunin. Now I will hand you over to my brother and head of the ANBU, Kankuro. Thank you, Lord Kazekage, said Kankuro. The rules for this tournament are simple, anything goes. The winner will be determined one of three ways. First is that someone is unable to fight on. Next is when someone gives up, and lastly is I decide the fight is over. Now let's welcome the 12 genin who have made it to this arena. With that, all the genin entered through a small tunnel. Wow, thought Kushina as she looked up at all the faces that were looking at her. Now, you all know the rules, said Kankuro as they all nodded their heads. Alright then, Fugaku and Saira stay down here. The rest go up into the genin box and wait. Good luck, Fugaku, stay safe, said Kushina. Don't worry Kushina, I will be fine, said Fugaku as he nodded. Alright, said Kushina as she walked up the stairs next to the tunnel into a small room overlooking the field. Don't worry, he will be fine, said Ina Kushina as she stood next to Emi. Alright, begin, said Kankuro as suddenly the sand around Saira started to spin until soon the entire field was just one giant sandstorm. Emi, do you know what jutsu that is? It is your basic storm jutsu, it kicks up the sand masking the entire area and cloaking sand allowing free movement, said Emi. Meanwhile, inside the storm, Fugaku was crouching as the speed of the sand increased. Inside the storm, Fugaku couldn't even see his hand in front of his face. He quickly reached into his pouch and pulled out a pair of glasses to protect his eyes and a Kakashi-like mask to allow him to breathe. When he finished, he pulled out his sword and held it up in a defensive position as he scanned the twisting sand for any sign of an attack that was bound to come. Suddenly, out of the sand, two kunais came flying at him, each with an explosive tag on the end. Fugaku jumped to the side to avoid the attack, crashing into the sand before standing back up. I can't use my Sharingan here, it is useless if I can't keep my eyes open and the reflection from my glasses would mean I am looking at myself. I need to break this jutsu, thought Fugaku before he grinned and started to run through hand signs. Meanwhile, Sasuke sat next to his wife watching the spinning cloud of sand that hid his son. Suddenly, the sandstorm became a firestorm as flames filled the entire arena. Smart move, son, turn the sandstorm into a firestorm, whispered Sasuke as one of his sons looked at him. Dad, won't the flames burn him? Asked Shun. No, he is in the eye of the storm, said Sasuke. Meanwhile, Fugaku was breathing out a large fireball which was being caught up in the wind, turning everything around him into flames. The heat made sweat run down Fugaku's face as he finished the jutsu. For a minute he just stood there watching as the flames danced around him. Soon, the wind and the flames showing Saira standing there with slightly burnt pants legs. Suddenly, Fugaku charged forward, sword in hand. Saira whipped out two kunai and got into a defensive stance watching as Fugaku charged forward. Saira blinked because now the genin was gone. The next thing she knew, she had a sword at her teeth. I win, said Fugaku. I don't think so, said Saira as she espered Fugaku in the chest, however Fugaku exploded in a puff of smoke before going up in a huge explosion, sending Saira up into the air. Suddenly, Fugaku appeared next to her in the air. His leg spun around. Lion's barrage, yelled Fugaku as his leg came crashing down on Saira's chest, sending her into the ground hard. Fugaku landed just as Kankuro was checking Saira out. She is out cold, Fugaku Uchiha of the Leaf Village advances, said Kankuro. The crowd broke out in cheers as Fugaku put his hands in his pockets and walked toward the stairs. Kib Inuzuka, Sadao, get down here. Kib and the brown-haired sand ninja named Sadao nodded their heads. Kib turned and started down the stairs. Good luck, said Fugaku as he looked at his friend. Luck is for someone who doesn't have SKS, answered Kib as he walked past Fugaku and onto the field. Once Fugaku got up to the box overlooking the field, he stood next to Kushina. I told you not to worry, said Fugaku. I wasn't, I knew you would win, said Kushina as Fugaku grinned. Knowing I would win and worrying are two different things, Kushina, said Fugaku as Kushina blushed. Stop flirting, you two, I am trying to watch, said Emi as Kushina's blush deepened and one appeared just for a second on Fugaku. Let them flirt, Nara, said Chu as he leaned against the back wall. Today will be the last day they will be together. Don't let him get to you, Kushina. I know that you will kick his fat ass all over the place. I believe in you, whispered Fugaku as the fight between Kib and Sadao began. When the fight began, Sadao charged forward with two long curved blades in each hand. Kib responded to the attack by jumping back until his feet hit the wall. Take this, fang over fang, yelled Kib as a tornado mixed with sand charged forward. Sadao stopped in his tracks and ran through hand signs. Sand shield, yelled Sadao as the sand around him came up and formed a dome around him, protecting him from the tornado attack. After 10 minutes of unending attack, people were starting to get bored. Kib is just wasting time now, said Kushina. No, he isn't, said Fugaku as Kushina looked at him. I don't see how, said Kushina. Then tell me, Kushina, where is Kib's dog? Asked Fugaku as Kushina raised an eyebrow. Suddenly the sand dome broke open as a second tornado tore up through the dome with Sadao on top. Then the first twister moved so it hit the second one with Sadao in the middle. Sadao screamed in pain. I give up, yelled Sadao as the attack stopped and Kib and his black dog appeared out of the attacks. What just happened? Asked Kushina. Kib used his attack to distract Sadao as his dog tunneled a hole and got under Sadao and then launched an attack from below, said Emi as she turned to head down the stairs toward her fight with Reiji of the Ice. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.